Hey everyone, welcome to Tent Talk. This is a show all about farmers markets. Whether you're a farmers market manager, a farmer, or a food producer selling at farmers markets, or just a curious farmers market shopper, this is the podcast for you. On today's episode of Tent Talk, the InTents business team talks about the recent InTents conference held in San Diego, California in February 2019. We talk about what we loved about this year's event, what we'd like to add, and why we think it's important to bring the market community together. I'm Bridget Myers, one of your hosts on Tent Talk, and I spend my days on site at farmers markets, managing them and behind the scenes pulling permits and social media marketing.
I'm another one of your hosts, Justine Marzoni-Mead, farmers market vendor, hot sauce maker, and event facilitator for the InTents conference.
And I'm Kat Fields White, Director of San Diego Markets, still managing markets every week, and founder of InTents Business.
Welcome back to Tent Talk. Today's episode is the next in our Tent Talk hosts roundtables, reviewing the recent InTents Conference 2019. We'll talk about some of our favorite presenters and topics, the wonderful connections we made at the event, and what is next for InTents Business. All right, ladies. Welcome back to the podcast table. We're here. It seems like it's been so long.
It does. It's like it's only been just a little bit over a month, but it feels like it's been ages since we were at the conference.
So much has happened. So many great things.
So many markets.
Yes. Are we recovered? Are we sleeping yet? After all that conference prep and those long conference days? Maybe not, because we all had to go back to work and catch up.
We did. We had to go straight back to markets.
I think I got sick like twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you
I got pneumonia. It was great.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. It's over now. Thank you.
We're good.
Okay, we're good. We're back. We're healthy. We have some staff changes at our farmers market, so that's always really fun and exciting, and also loads of extra work.
Yeah.
Made me realize how much I need to update our training manuals and things like that. So it's always good to add some new staff to the mix, but really enjoying all our new people on site.
Yeah,
that's always fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, really good team. New vendors also, and farmers.
Tis the season for some new farmers and vendors.
Yeah.
That's right. This time of year, we see people either head in a different direction or their seasons change with what they're growing. New food people start up. We've had some new vendors at our markets that actually came from the InTents conference.
That's right.
Yeah, that's been exciting.
Yeah. Just
Tempeh jerky.
Yeah.
Tempeh.
whoa.
Oh, so good. She started yesterday.
Oh, you didn't see it?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
She's attended the InTents conference twice, I think, Shani. And she
Cool.
actually
I'll have to try that.
came back. Wonderful.
It was tasty. I had no idea what it was, but it's like
It's like fermented.
mung beans.
Fermented beans.
Yeah. It's so tasty. So,
Cool.
yeah. We have a nice, vegan following at our markets, too. Like, the San Diego vegan scene is all about it.
It is all about it, and we've kind of developed a little section, inadvertently, didn't really intend to, but all of a sudden it appears that we have a whole group of vegan appealing vendors together in one little section of the market, so that's been cool.
I think that's smart because, the Green Fix guys, they were, right next to the barbecue guys for a while, and it seemed like there was some sort of contentious relationship.
We did have Korean barbecue across from the little vegan section, and there was rumbling in the ranks.
Yes. Well, if you're a vegan, you probably don't want grilling meat right next to your...
Yeah.
I get it, but, we can only do so much, but, it's fun when they're all grouped together. There was a, famous Instagrammer in San Diego. He's, a vegan guy. He comes to all the markets, turn up vegan. And he was, taking videos and, has a bunch of followers. And it's great for the market,
Sure.
it's a scene and all that, whatever. But I think it's great for the market because it just brings people are like, oh, yeah, should go to the farmer's market. They have lots of stuff for us. And we don't just have ranchers and chickens and eggs and stuff like that. So,
yeah. And I know in different parts of the country, this is the time of year when people are launching for the new season. Pepper Place in Birmingham, Alabama, opened yesterday for the first time this year in their outside market. I think some of the markets in Ohio and in the Midwest are just now ramping up. Eventually, the folks in New Hampshire will be digging out of all that snow, and their market season will start.
We had shoppers at the market this weekend from New Hampshire. They said that they were anxiously awaiting the opening of their seasonal market because it's a short season, but they were excited to see our year-round markets here. But I always forget that markets are seasonal in other places. So, just something that's hard for me to fathom, but really exciting.
California.
I know. Although the
Lucky
Phoenix
ducks.
markets are like shutting down now, right?
That's
They're
right.
closing for the summer.
Yeah, Arizona, they're wrapping up their markets for
Yeah.
the year, and they'll wait till fall, except for Phoenix Public Market.
Yeah.
They attended the InTents conference.
Yes.
And they are one of the few markets in that area that stay open year-round.
Yeah.
So they've got really great screens over the top of their market to keep it cool, and misters, and
Yeah.
they've got some farmers that just keep pumping along, so...
Well, the market's in a parking lot. So I met Sarah from the Phoenix Public Market at the conference, and we connected, and I told her I'm from Phoenix, and my dad used to go to the Phoenix market all the time because he worked downtown. So she gave me a little shopping bag, so cute. And then I just happened to have a trip to Phoenix the following weekend after the conference. So anyways, went to the market and checked out her market, and they're in a parking lot, and they have like permanent structures
Right.
that you would cover like parking. And
Oh.
so it's, shades over the cars, but then they put their stands in there, and so it's nice and shaded, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
perfect
that's
solution
cool.
for Arizona.
It's a beautiful
We're so
market.
hot. Yeah, it's a
Yeah, it
great
was so
market.
fun. Everyone was having a good time. There was a live goat, and you could feed the goat a bottle of milk, and my friend was with me, and it was like the best day of her life. She said.
With the live goat?
Yes, she said it was so fun.
You know, when we talk about things that we liked about the InTents conference and things that we've considered adding, we considered adding the
Goats?
whole live animal thing at the reception, that we do on Monday
Oh,
night
yeah.
with food and things. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got a farmer locally that comes out sometimes to big chef events and sets up a little area where you can go pet the goats and the sheep and hold the chickens and all that. I'm not sure our attendees, being farm folk to begin with, would be
They might
all
be
that
relieved
impressed.
that they don't
it's
have
like,
to-
right. Oh no, not animals. We just got away from the animals for a few days.
We could get a sponsor for the Intense Petting Zoo.
Exactly, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. All the food makers would be excited about that, and all the
It
farmers
does.
and ranchers would just go.
It's kind of fun to combine that with a photo booth because you can get some cute pictures
Yeah.
of the baby goats and
Yeah.
animals, that kind of stuff.
Oh, so fun. Excellent. What else? What's Baby Clydesdale up to after the conference? Same old marketing.
Old. Just doing our markets. We're at 4 markets right now, and I've mostly just been dropping Dave off in the morning and making sure he has coffee and treats, and then I go do other stuff and
Go
come
do
pick him up. So
honest things.
He
he's
does
at the
his
market
charming
right
thing.
now, and I'll go pick him up in the truck
Yeah.
in a little while. But
We kind of had a rainy season of markets here in San Diego.
Yeah.
Not to
For
complain
us.
about weather.
For us, yeah.
I know it wasn't for a lot of people, but it rained every Thursday for like 4 months. And so we don't have a market on Thursday anymore, but there's one here in our neighborhood. And Dave with Baby Clydesdale does that market. So I know it was
Yeah.
a wet
It's a wet season.
season. And now it seems to.
But he's
You
been
wrap it up.
entertaining us with his Instagram stories
Oh,
every
he's
time
the
it's
best.
it's slow at the market.
Please follow Baby Clydesdale on Instagram because he's the funniest. He has lots of great commentary about being a farmer's market vendor. It cracks me up.
Yeah, behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, yeah. Industry jokes for those of us.
Absolutely.
I love it. What else?
So we should talk about the conference.
Yes.
Yeah.
How's the conference? It was fun.
It was a blast.
It was bigger this third year. We
Yes.
had more attendees. We still had a really full schedule. This is
Yeah.
the first year that instead of doing Vendor 101 on Sunday, we actually had a full day of programming on Sunday. So we had 3 full days of speakers.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
We did not have 3 full days of food, so things got a little dicey on Sunday afternoon
Should
when
we
people
tell
got
everybody
hungry.
what we had to do?
Oh man, so
Kat, it would
embarrassing.
never admit. Kat, you can blame it on me, Kat.
We were in a pinch.
We were in a pinch in food, and my husband had to go to Costco and get Costco pizza.
We got Costco
for our
pizzas. We felt
farmers
bad.
market.
We say on the website FAQ, these are when meals are. Meals aren't included on other days, but our folks were so hungry. A lot of people had traveled and arrived that day and gone straight to the conference. We're at a beautiful dockside setting where you can see the water in the boats, but not very close to food facilities.
No food around there.
And we had some hungry folks, so you do what you got to do.
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
fine.
markets are all about, right? You do what you got to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Things
Oh.
happen at markets,
Think
and you
on
got to
your feet.
adjust.
We jumped into action, and it was great.
It was great.
Everyone
Yeah.
got fed. We had drinks already, so
That's
the
true.
drinks flowed. We had coffee in the morning, so
Yeah.
it worked out. I feel
That's
like it was
good.
great. And then food the other 2 days. Speaking of food, we had our
Was
amazing
brilliant.
vendors. Monday morning, a little dicey, but after that, it smooths right out. And we had some really great vendors from our farmers markets come and do breakfast, and our lunch kind of pop-up vendors were amazing.
We actually got a shout out for that from, I think it was California Alliance of Farmers Market in their last newsletter. They said, other conferences should take note that this is the
Yeah.
way to do this. Get farmers market vendors to provide your food.
Yeah.
And, we do that because I've been to so many conferences where we bring together amazing people in the food system and the farmers market world, and we plunk them into a hotel where there's rubber chicken and a lot of food waste, and it just seems crazy to not be serving local food to farmers market people.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're proud of that. I think we do a good job of bringing our vendors in. People were impressed by the food.
Our vendors love it too. They just are so excited to be there, and they're like, oh, these are our people, and people are asking them really different questions than they get at the farmers market. You know, people were saying like, oh, how do you set up your tent like that? Or what's that screen wall? Or what's that little hook on your tent? What's that for? You know, like those kind of questions that their shoppers at the market don't ask them.
Right,
so,
right. But when you're serving fellow vendors and market managers and things, you get a whole different kind of conversation going.
Yes.
Doing the lingo.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that bungee, buddy?
Yeah. So great.
Yeah, that was. I really liked that we had a film viewing.
I did too. That was really exciting.
Really
in fact, we're probably going
to
try.
Can you tell us about? I didn't really.
The biggest little farm?
You hooked at that.
Yeah, you hooked
part
it all
of
up.
I did, actually.
So.
It was an interesting path because I had gone to the retirement party for Laura Avery, who had been managing the Santa Monica market for 34 years, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Really a long time.
That's a long time,
So she was retiring.
That's 24 years longer than you've been.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, just for context.
many
And I feel like it's been a lifetime
for
for me. So can you even imagine? Her children were there, and they said there were two of them. Her son and daughter, and they said really there were always three kids, and the market was the favorite. So that was kind of funny.
I feel the pain.
Do you feel that pain?
Yes.
But I ran into 360 Degrees that's promoting this film. At a woman from that group was at Laura's retirement party, and we started talking about the conference. And actually, Laura was great. She and her retirement party hosts had spread InTents conference flyers all over the room. It was wonderful. And she said, "We've got this film. It's in pre-release. We could possibly arrange you to do a screening of it at the conference," which sounded like a great idea. It took us a while to go back and forth and get it all settled. They really didn't want us to show it low res on a laptop from a downloaded link, so we did acquire a Blu-ray player and had a lovely high res movie showing on Monday night, and I think people really enjoyed that. It was funny. We did a few opening talks. We showed the film. It's all about Apricot Lane Farms. They operate a biodynamic farm just outside of LA, actually, on the other side of the freeway in Moore Park, right out of the downtown area. Beautiful farm. They've been on it now for, I think, 7 or 8 years. And they told their story from beginning to end, being beginning farmers and starting. The nice thing is the beginning farmer works in the movie business, so beautiful cinematography, a really nicely done story. Yeah. And we had planned a Q&A and a nice chat for after the film, and everybody in the room was crying so hard. All we could say was, "Don't you ever begrudge a dollar you spend with farmers."
Yeah, everybody walked out of the movie just wiping their nose, hugging each other. Also, it was after cocktail hour, so I think.
Well, it was that too. There was also that.
Emotions.
But it really is a beautiful film, and it's going to be in wide release in first part of May. I think the second week of May.
Cool.
So keep an eye out. TheBiggestLittleFarm.com, I think it is. Apricot Lane Farm still operates at 3 or 4 markets in the Los Angeles area.
Yeah.
So you can go see them too. I really wanted them to come down and help with our display session because they do the most beautiful display and signage at their farmers markets. But with the movie, they're a little bit busy.
Yeah.
They're out at film festivals.
They have their hands full.
Well, maybe they can
stuff.
come on Tent Talk as part of their circuit.
I love it.
We're definitely working on that right now, as a matter of fact. So you'll hear them soon.
And our listeners, if you aren't catching it or you're driving and not writing this down, we will link to the information about the film on our blog and our email newsletter, and I'll post it on Instagram. So you can always check back there to make sure you know what the film is called, and you can go find it.
And actually, there's a good list on their site of which cities the film is releasing in. And between now and the release date, a lot of the theaters are actually doing, you can buy out. So you can, if you wanted to bring a group from your farmer's market, if you have a minimum number of people, you can buy out the theater. And go do it. We may do that ourselves.
We should do that with our market vendors and farmers.
Yes.
It'd be so fun.
It'd be fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's really good.
Well, that was a highlight for sure.
That was a highlight for sure. This year we didn't do quite as much in terms of a lot of live music and chefs and things on site like we did the last couple of years. Instead, we had kind of light receptions with artisan Costco Pizza.
That was only one
It was
night.
a local Costco.
It was a local Costco. Oh my gosh. We always get that question of Vendor 101. We'll say, we need you, even if you're doing prepared food, to use local ingredients. And they'll say, well, Restaurant Depot's less than a mile from me. Does that count as local? It's like, no.
Well, when my husband went to Costco, he did get a tub of bitchin sauce. He goes, I got bitchin sauce. So then there are a vendor that started at
vendor
our
for so
farmer's
long.
market, and now they sell at Costco. But he was really proud that he got like
He got a local.
Good job.
Got a
Good
local
job,
at the
Peter.
Costco.
Shout out to
that
Peter.
was good.
He's
But
trying.
but both of those evenings were good because we did both of the next evenings because we did the light reception there, but then people went out to really have a great dinner at various local restaurants with San Diego Farm to Fork Week.
Yes.
So they went out, and I got a lot of good reports back on Monday from people who had gone to local restaurants on Sunday who sourced directly from farms. So that was cool.
Oh, yeah.
And then the reception on Monday night, we had some terrific vendors and local farm to fork chefs that served, and then the movie. So I thought it was a really nice way to kind of kick up the conference. I like those pieces of the conference. Our presentations are so good, but I really like those pieces where all the attendees and the speakers get to just hang out and chit chat and kind of compare notes.
Oh, I love it. And everyone's debriefing about what their favorite session was. We had a session on Monday talking with market managers. Chris Quinlan and I did. He's from Market Works. And we had to cut it off. I said, well, the session's closing now. I'm sorry. We have to clear the room so we can have the next session come in. And all the market managers are like, no, we want to keep talking. And I go, all right, well, let's have a powwow at the reception tonight. And so market managers, we all just kind of gathered around some cocktail tables and just kept the conversation going.
Oh, great.
So it was really nice to, we have to keep a schedule during the day, of course. We have speakers there. But those conversations extended. And I just learned a lot from that and from that talk afterwards. So.
I saw a lot of that. I think a lot of people were asking Ellie Ball about questions on the food maker side and display. Actually, we expected her to be kind of our slot for really hitting food maker vendors because she's so expert at that with her retail ready course and such. But a lot of the farmers got great ideas from her as well because she talked so clearly about display and about getting on the other side of the table and seeing what your display looks like and making sure your signage is clear. And what did she say? Look at it as though you were an 8-year-old. So is it clear enough that an 8-year-old would understand what you're selling and what you're charging? Brilliant.
Key things,
Yeah, that was a highlight for me too.
Yeah.
And I loved Anastasia's presentation.
Yeah, Anastasia Plakias from Brooklyn Grange.
She was the first one on Sunday, right?
She was.
Yeah,
she opened.
it
was a strong opening. It was good. The whole Brooklyn Grange story is so great.
Yeah, and we swapped hot sauce. She gave me some Brooklyn Grange hot sauce, and I gave her some baby cut. So it was really good.
Hot sauce
really
awesome.
stuff. Yeah.
I'm actually taking my granddaughter to New York City this summer for her high school grad trip. And we're definitely going to Brooklyn Grange for a tour, but it looks like the dates may line up where we can do one of the farm dinners on the roof because Brooklyn Grange is a rooftop farm in New York City.
That's awesome.
Yeah. When I went to Phoenix, right after the conference, I needed an audiobook, of course, so I listened to Anastasia's book on the drive there because it was just so interesting. Her talk was amazing. It was one of my favorite speakers as well, and her book is so interesting.
So good.
Awesome. Yeah.
And so relevant because she not only talks about that, it's a really groundbreaking concept to do a full-on farm on the roof. We're not talking just hoop houses and hydroponics. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But, putting dirt on the roof and chickens and actual crops that are growing in soil on the roof is crazy. But the other thing is they have such a big emphasis there on they're not grant-based. They get some donations for their educational side that's run through another foundation, but they really operate as a business that is required to be profitable. So every one of their projects is analyzed as to whether or not it'll contribute to the income stream and not be a drag on the rest of the business.
Yeah.
And I want to read Brent's book.
Oh, yeah.
That's such
Get a
a
hold of
good
it.
book.
I bought that audiobook too. I didn't have time to listen to it. But
you did?
It's in the docket. Yeah.
That's actually kind of another cool thing about the conference, I think, is I love our little bookstore. So we always have...
We sold a lot of books this year.
We sold a lot of
sold
books,
out
including all of Brent's. So that's why we don't have one now.
I know.
Well, I love the books because, even I was like, oh yeah, they're going to come to the conference. That's great. They wrote a book. But then hearing Brent speak and Anastasia, I go, I need to have this full story. I need to know what it is. And
Absolutely.
just having access to the books right there is so great for guests. And
so The New Farm by Brent Preston, really great book. I mean, if truth be told, the reason I started the conference or wanted to start the conference is because I'm such a fangirl of authors and food memoir writers. And this gives me an excuse to have them come to San Diego and hang out with us.
Yeah.
And you remember he said that I hope we can say this. He might get us in trouble, but I think he said it in his talk, but that was already on a past episode of Tent Talk. But he sold the rights to a movie.
About how he did his farm. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe future.
We'll see.
Movie night.
We'll see what
InTents
happens.
conference, we can do a screening of his movie.
Right.
That would be amazing.
That would be so fun.
Full circle.
I asked him who he wanted to play him. I suggested Harrison Ford maybe. He said, way too old.
Yeah.
So much younger.
sounds like thanks a lot.
But it's, dashing, kind of white-haired thing. It was, it felt like a good fit, but you're right. Maybe too old. Way too old,
They Colin Farrell with, you just do a little highlighting.
That could
I feel
work.
like he kind of has that look and soft-spoken, so charming, Yeah, he was so nice. His story was so great. I love those speakers that come in. And they're teaching something to us, but their talks are more just about their story and how their farms or how their projects came to be. Really just gives me more like passion in my business. And I feel like a lot of the attendees were saying, I wasn't like taking notes about how to do something practically when I was listening to those kind of stories sometimes, but more like, wow, this is really like invigorating the passion.
Yeah, just kind of giving you that spark of why you got into it in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, inspiration and actionability. We look for both of those things in our speakers. And I think we got a lot of it. Sarah Marshall, I think Justine actually had pushed the idea that Sarah would do a self-care session. And for me, I'm always trying to really narrow our niche and make sure that this applies to farmers markets, because you can't find farmers market business information too many other places, so I want to make sure it's relevant. So I was a little concerned about that one being too general, and then it was so specific to farmers markets. It was just brilliant.
And like, is she going to say, go to the spa? It's like, okay.
No,
not at all.
Not at all.
It was so specific. Mm-hmm.
And that's what's fun about another aspect of the conference is realizing, I mean, we should know this already just because we are this way as well. But learning about these vendors is they have such kind of, interesting paths that led them to the farmers market. So Sarah, for example, was in social work. Her and her husband Dirk were social workers for 10 years. And she's really able to bring those skills and that gift that she had for that into her company as a farmers market vendor. Charlotte was a real estate agent, and she, when she tells you that, it makes sense because you're like, she has that, she's just so talkative and she's so good at connecting with you. And so it's fun to hear these people's stories more deeply because you realize that, they bring these gifts and these talents into what they're doing at the farmers market.
All of your experience, can you just pick up pieces of everything that you do and apply it to this.
Kat could do a speech about her, what she did before. We could talk about the red balloon. Talk about all the
we should always talk about the red balloon whenever possible.
I feel like we haven't
talked a fleeting career.
We haven't talked about it since the first episode of Tent Talk. So if you want to hear about the red balloon,
I think we need to find that picture and put it into the blog.
It's going in the newsletter, guys. I'm going to post it on Instagram. It's going to get so many hits.
This episode is brought to you by the red balloon.
I was so ahead of my time.
R.I.P. Kat has so many great ideas. So many different career paths have all led you here to managing farmers markets and starting conference.
That's true. My family says the most terrifying words in the English language are my voice saying, I have an idea.
Oh my gosh. My sister runs away screaming or hangs up the phone.
Right. Don't start, Mom.
What's Mom up to now?
You're busy enough.
You don't want to know. But a lot of the times it works out.
Yeah. I mean, this has been fun.
This has worked out.
The InTents thing has worked out. Although I have to say, Tent Talk itself was not me saying I have an idea. It was you two.
That was us.
Yeah, that's right. I think
that was Justine saying I have an idea.
Yeah, you guys, you didn't have to drag me in. I wasn't exactly kicking and screaming, but I was dragging my feet. What's a podcast?
Is it radio?
What? Explain me. Yeah, isn't that how you finally sold me? You said it's pretty much radio. You know what radio is?
It's like you DVR radio. Get it? You can push play and pause.
Right there you go.
DVR for your radio.
Yeah, it's
I do have an idea though that we should embark on a YouTube channel, an active YouTube channel. So. Just so you know, that's coming next. That's on our list of things for InTents to concentrate on this year.
So many ways we could go. Well, when you said you wanted to do a conference and get farmers market people together, I remember when you told me this a long time ago, I was like, what are you talking about? First of all, farmers market people are very busy. They can't come to a conference. And you said, I go to conferences. I go, okay, I guess that's true. You're a very busy farmers market industry person, and you make time to go make connections and network, and you want all these people in the same room, but you're mostly going to farm conferences, which is great.
I had in the past mostly gone to farm conferences, and that's part of where InTents came from, is that I found that they were terrific if you wanted to learn to do a better irrigation system, or if you wanted to know how to evaluate seed suppliers, or if you wanted to convert from conventional to organic. And there was usually, I don't want to say it like this, but a little bit of a stepchild track for farmers market managers. There would be just a few sessions. In fact, I taught some of those.
Yeah.
I've taught social media for farmers and market managers at a lot of conferences. But nobody seemed to really be concentrating on the business side. And you know, with me, that entrepreneurship is my passion. And what I want is to make sure that all these folks, and especially farmers, because it's important to how we eat, understand how to make themselves financially sustainable. So that was the goal. Exactly. And you're right, it seems like people would be too busy to come. But I go to conferences as my vacation time because I come back inspired and jazzed up. And
so many of our attendees had that feedback, that they had to really work hard to make the time to come, which is true for anyone who runs a business that's successful, and that's if they're in a bunch of markets, or if they have a farm plus markets, or if they're running multiple markets as a manager. It's difficult to etch out that time, but they just said it was so valuable. I remember the end of day one, multiple people were telling us that first day just paid for this whole ticket, all the time I spent to set aside to come to the conference just after one day, totally worth it. And I go, well, we have 2 more full days. Don't go away. Yeah. I'm like, don't leave. No, but they were just so like, oh my gosh, I didn't know what to expect, and it was so great. And this is what I needed, and just the feedback we've had since then. People saying I brought these ideas back home to my markets, and this is just really what I needed, because you're right, there's not a lot of places we can go, people that are in the industry, to talk to other people that are in the industry. Yeah. I rarely talk to other farmers market managers.
Right. I seek them out when I travel, but that's not the only time. And then I go
regularly.
Associations and things. But then the other thing that I thought was really missing that we were excited about including in InTents is the food makers. Yeah. Because food makers, artisan foods, are a huge part of successful farmers markets in most areas. There's a few markets left that have just farmers, but that makes it tough to compete with grocery stores. So our food makers at markets are so important to the health of farmers markets, and nobody's talking to them.
No, and there's no place to get together.
Nobody addressing them. So that's that was the goal.
There are conferences and workshops and a lot of online stuff for CPG and wholesale type things, but there is this niche that InTents conference fills with.
What's CPG?
Commercially packaged goods.
Gotcha. All right. So I just learned something. Let you speak next year.
Oh dang! I was going to say something that I forgot.
Oh well, go back. But I feel like that conference was like 33.3% food makers. It was 33.3% farmers.
It was this year.
It was pretty even.
Yeah, it was pretty evenly split.
We had a lot more farmers this year.
Definitely. We did have a lot more farmers. We got a little boost with a little scholarship grant from a group here in Northern California that helped us a little bit, bring in a few farmers at the last minute. But it was when one of the speakers said, raise your hand if you're this, raise your hand if you're that. And it seemed to be almost evenly split between the three.
Which is
groups.
like what I have dreamed, and I feel like it has been a good mix of the previous 2 years, but it just seemed like this year was such a good mix. And when you get like such an equal showing of of the 3 different kind of people that we're speaking to, the conversations are just like richer because everyone's contributing, and so it's like you get to hear from everybody. Right. It makes this whole story, because a farmer's market is one thing, and then the 3 kind of groups of people make that up. So it was
they all
just
have to work together, but they each have their own issues and their own challenges that you have to address. So it was interesting to hear each other's. We did more breakout this year because those groups do each have some of their own things that they need to address. So we did more kind of splitting the group into 2 rooms sometimes.
But everyone wanted to go to
which made me very sad. The reason the first 2 years we had almost no breakout is because I hate going to conferences and saying, I want to take all 3 of those things that are happening at the same time. So we had a little bit of that. I actually missed a session I really wanted to see because I was seeing another really great session.
Yes,
so always a challenge figuring out that kind of schedule.
Yeah. But I remember the thing I was going to say. Is one of my favorite parts of the conference, and this may sound silly, but we really upped our game on the decoration of the main stage, which Bridget pulled together, and it looked amazing.
Wow.
It looks so good. Pow wow.
Pow wow. Darn, I always mix that up.
Pow wow design, is that?
Pow wow design. Yeah, they do special event like setting. So they have chairs and rugs and plants and decorations, and they do like famous people's weddings. They do Coachella hangout.
We're going to bring them earlier next year and on a larger scale, because I look at some of the photos now, I say, oh, that stage looks so great, and look at that weird curtain there. That we hung ourselves.
Staple gun to the wall.
We do what we can do.
We do, but I feel like the stage was vastly improved.
It was beautiful.
And it was just so comfortable, and it looked good, and we just love them so much.
Event Masters did the screen that I wanted this year. We've been chasing that for a while. We wanted the speakers right in front of their presentations. It was perfect.
Yeah. Technical, if any conference people are listening, they'll understand. These are the things that just make us so happy.
And I was able to, with the help of Dave Wozniak's AV crew, I was able to run the board through my computer and record stuff for Tent Talk, which
that was amazing. They're such a good crew. Witowski.
Witowski.
Yeah. He didn't invent Microsoft. He just said our AV.
Sorry. Did I say Dave Wozniak? He was there. Gates was there. It's a star-studded occasion. We all work together.
You know they love farmers markets.
You really missed a good conference.
It's those comments though, like you got the first day about, oh, this was worth it. I got so much out of this. I'm so glad I was here. I mean, that makes it worth just how tired you are when you put together a conference.
Oh my gosh! Sunday morning when Justine and I were like in our sweats, like putting stuff together, and we're like, oh god, we're gonna die because it's just like. You know, the last couple of weeks leading up to the conference, just so much to do. And then the first people just walk in the door. We changed into our nice clothes. And then the first people walk into the door, and it was like, I felt instantly like, oh my gosh, this is so great. Oh, I remember that evening we were driving home after the first day, and I told Kat, I'm like, we should do this 3 times a year.
And I was like,
I had so many endorphins in my body. I regret it.
Justine's like, are you sure we want to do this again?
I wanted to do another one in April and May, and
this is why people have siblings. You forget all the pain. It's only the excitement.
It was like childbirth. Oh my gosh! My baby was born, and then I just wanted another one. But it was. I mean, I feel like I did feel so much better, and it just felt so. And then just seeing old friends. You know, there's people that come to the conference. I only see them once a year.
Yeah, they come every year.
Yeah, and then just meeting new people and kind of explain oh yeah, what is this? And just at the registration desk and telling them what's going on and giving them the schedule and the speakers, and then just seeing their faces kind of get really excited and light up like they're actually here now, and just watching them throughout the day, people that were there for the first time. It was just really exciting. It's just,
it was exciting.
Like anything you work hard on and then you see it come to life. So it was good. It was a good time.
All right, question of the week. I'm just making it up on the spot, but what do you want to see next year?
Ooh.
Or what's your one thing that maybe we didn't have the time or the bandwidth or the means to pull off this year, but that you'd like to see for 2020?
Well, I think we need to start earlier with a bigger team. I think there's actually even willing volunteers that would pitch in. I mean, just at the last minute, Trish Watlington pulled us out of the fire by insisting that she would volunteer.
Shout out to Trish, please, because she saved
said,
her life.
I understand. You're so busy you can't even remember to ask for help. So tell me what you're doing today and I'll take some of those.
She was literally like, I'm going to do this.
Yes, I'm doing it.
We couldn't even instruct anybody, and she goes, I'm doing this. I'm doing that.
She was great.
Yeah.
Robin Ross, same way with the food.
Definitely.
Joanne True from Cardamom is always great. Tilly Shaler flew all the way from Midlands in the UK to help us out. That was wonderful.
That was so sweet.
Hooked up with Naomi Myers.
My daughter was passing out cocktails to people at the
She's like, one for you.
No, she was not. She better not have been. But she was very excited to. And she's a little networker.
She was out there. She was out there shaking hands and introducing herself. She was good. Yeah, she was awesome.
Third generation market manager.
That's right. I keep trying to get one of the grandkids to jump in.
I think Naomi's your best bet.
Considering the other two are maybe a little too young.
Well, I got some older ones, but and they're doing the football thing. What are you going to do? But so I think we could start a little bit earlier in the year with some help. I'm going to guess that maybe Justine will agree with me because Justine took a huge load this year. She replaced, we had hired event coordinators in the past on a contractor basis. Justine was with us all year and not just that period, and she killed it.
Justine replaced 6 people.
Stand on top of speakers, and then also just on-site management was amazing. Just really kept the thing rolling. So I would say for next year, we maybe want to do some sort of volunteer committees or something that can address certain parts. Food, for instance. Food should be a slam dunk for us with the market vendors, but we just need to take that more seriously and trust them to run with it this next year. So there's that. And another big important element, I think we need a photo booth.
I think we
very important and vital.
Right?
We need to do a photo booth.
Right, a petting zoo.
Get someone to take that on.
At least if not a whole petting zoo, at least a goat. I mean, come on.
At least one goat. I'll have Sarah from Phoenix Market bring it. Bring a goat.
Then bring
BYOG.
Right? Ooh, now that'd be scary. We could end up with a lot of goats. BYOG.
Yikes.
What do you think, Bridget? What would you change or add
Oh
for
my
next year?
gosh. Well, all those things. I would like to see some kind of format if we can figure it out of like a roundtable kind of session, like a breakout session where everyone in the room kind of gets to share ideas, because it's kind of what the market manager session turned into. Like I was teaching it, but I was asking people in the audience, like, oh, what do you do? Like, you charge for applications? Tell me how you do that. And so it would be nice if we could all like kind of set that up a little better and format it.
Would you see that as one big round table with the whole group, or would you see it as maybe a market manager's round table of farmers and a food makers?
Well, the
One
whole
of
group
each.
would be good because that would be so much information, but I just feel like logistically that would be difficult to execute. But maybe one of each. But I would like to sit in the other sessions too. Because I want
One of each at different times.
How about one of each, and we're recording all of them for
There you
TED
go.
Talk. That's the key. Yeah, because I mean, then we could hear what everyone had to say. But I felt like that was so valuable, and I don't know. I just feel like hearing from other people that are there, like little breakout conversations on the side or at the food events in the evening are so great. But when we're all in session, it's so nice to hear from other people. Like that's why we're bringing everyone together, so I can. We can hear from each other and see how we all do it at our markets.
I do think one thing that we did right, that we do every year, but this year, I don't know, maybe we had an extra microphone so it went even more smoothly, but we always include a good chunk of Q&A time at each of our speakers' presentations. And this year we really stayed on schedule where we allowed that Q&A time, and that does create sort of a roundtable effect in the room because our attendees were awesome at asking good questions and adding good input to the speaker session.
I love the Q&A stuff. It was great.
Me too.
Yeah. What would you add, Justine? An assistant for you?
I would like
Your own
2
intern?
clones.
We would also like you to have 2 clones.
Yes, please. Although I don't know if you saw that old movie with Michael Keaton, but I would like the original copy. I'd like the original copy.
I would love to get more of our sessions recorded for TED Talk.
Oh, for sure.
That was one of my shiny moments where I figured that out, and I was like, yes, I can make this happen. And they sounded really good because they were run through a very professional, well mixed
as opposed to
engineering
our blue
board.
snowball.
Yeah, our snowball does the trick here.
It does.
TED Talk Studio, but that was really fun, and I think that it'd be awesome in the future to do more things with videos or just doing a live stream type thing, because I know that market managers and farmers and small business owners are so busy. It's really tough for them to take the time to come to our conference, and we have a lot of fans and contacts and people that follow us throughout the country. It would be cool to do some sort of live stream or something
Similar
like
to
that.
a do lectures thing where you can pay a different price to be able to get it online than you pay to come to a conference.
So
and you miss out on the
like
networking. It's not quite as valuable, but you get a lot of the good information.
Definitely miss a lot of aspects of the conference by not being there, but at least you can get some content.
But also, I
lots of
mean,
good content.
even for posterity, a lot of people I know that probably came to the conference, and in 3 months they're going to be like, crap, what was that thing that Ellie Ball said that really blew my mind, and they want to be able to revisit it. So I would love to do, even if it's more for archival purpose than for a proprietary purpose, but I would love to do something with that. And also just little simple things like having our schedule a little bit more up to date.
Yes, organizing the schedule,
But everybody
So we talked about maybe for next year we do an app, do a schedule on an app, save some paper as opposed to printing it on the program, and then we can update it constantly so it's always accurate.
And I think better name tags, because everyone's name and then was on their name tag, and then we gave them a sticker. So like purple was a market manager, food maker and farmer had their own stickers, but everyone was really excited about that, and they were like, oh, where are you from? And oh, you're a farmer, or oh, you're a food maker. So kind of making that a bigger deal, and maybe doing some networking, like
find your tribe.
Find your thing, or you have your meeting at this time or whatever. So I think that people are into that. That's kind of fun, and maybe put where you're from on there. Or what your farm is or whatever. Just some fun things to do with identifying the attendees, because that just makes the networking, you can skip a couple questions if it's just on your name tag. You just can dive straight into talking about things that matter. So That's great,
but we also open it up if you guys have suggestions or things that you loved about it. I know that we're going to be sending out a survey.
We are, and actually we'll make sure that by the end of next week we'll post the survey on our website.
Great.
So even if you didn't